Now, the second major thing I want to talk to you about is this. Multitasking, in my opinion, is dangerous. And it should be limited to less than 50% of your daily time. Now, this is sort of countercultural. This is definitely a little bit against the flow. However, I did a lot of Google research on this. And the majority of articles that I read say multitasking is beginning to be identified as absolutely working against the law of priorities. It's reducing productivity. Now, what am I reading? These are Harvard MBA studies, MIT. You know, this is not the marketing plan of the technology companies, trust me. This is what they're saying that's fascinating to me, but it makes a lot of sense. Now, we all agree on the basic components of the business plan. Look on page 13 of your note. I just whipped these down real fast. These key areas include, you've got to develop the plan. You've got to establish some priorities. You set some goals. You determine strategies. You execute your plan, and then you evaluate. That's basically the model. Now, here's what this research is saying. Studies are learning that our brains do not work like Microsoft Office. You cannot have 10 windows open at the same time, all working simultaneously. Our brains don't work that way. And really what the research is saying is, if you are a leader and you're going to be involved in all these different components of the business plan, you have to understand this is how your mind works. Let's just say, for example, that you're the leader. I would say for every true leader, probably 20% of your time ought to be spent on vision casting. Blue sky, wide open, no hose barred. Any thought's a good thought. What new product should be coming out in the next year? What's our competition going to do? What does the next 5 years look like? That is pure blue sky thinking. And the research says this, the level and type of thinking in your brain to do blue sky thinking is exactly the opposite of the person sitting over here that's trying to determine what is that product and how am I going to get it to market. And that type of thinking in your brain is different from the person who's in manufacturing who actually has to execute the plan. And that type of thinking is different from the person at the end of the food chain who determines the bottom line and evaluates P&L. Did we make money or did we not? And what it's saying is this, multitasking blurs all those lines. It eliminates all those distinctions. It doesn't allow you to use the part of your brain that's geared for that particular task exclusively for that task. It literally hops from one to the other. And I don't know about you. I am frustrated at the end of the day or the end of the week when I've got 10 projects 50% complete. And that's what happens to me with multitasking if I overabuse it. I always feel like I'm 5 seconds away from a great idea. But just when I get in the groove, the cell phone rings, email inbox rings, somebody bangs on the door, something happens, it's gone, never to come back again. So here's what I recommend that you do. Use multitasking. I use it. My big multitasker is I make almost all my phone calls while I'm driving. Sorry about that. They're still legal. They're allowing me to do that. I haven't hit anybody or hadn't had an accident yet, but that really, really, really helps me. But on the other hand, this is what I do. In my life management system, I specifically define times for creative thinking. That means the doors are shut, cell phones off, no interruptions. And that allows my brain to clearly focus in on what I'm needing to do in that particular area. Then I may shift gears into project management. That requires a different type of thinking. And then I may literally multitask for a while. I may be answering all those emails. But what the point I want to say to you is this. If you have gotten caught up in the whiz-bang of multitasking and how, quote, successful it's going to help you to be by gaining all this time and effectiveness, the studies are basically saying it simply doesn't work. Don't throw the baby out with the bath, but don't let multitasking be the driving force in your life.